Hello, fine people. It's Dave Warnock here at Dying Out Loud on the Line. That's what you're watching. It's today. It's Tuesday, September the 12th, and 2023, the year of our Lord, as they say. I'm really glad to be back tonight. Happy that everyone is here. If you're here, if you're not, then join us later. Call in. We've got lines open. We'd love to hear from you. 720-619-2288. The internet web link is in the description, so you can find it there. We want to talk about anything tonight. The title of the show was Purpose. Dyingoutloud.org. I am dyingoutloud.org is the correct website for the nonprofit. My website is daveoutloud.org. So we got to correct that, but no big deal. Anyway, thanks for tuning in tonight. We're glad you're here. We're going to talk a little bit about dealing with talking with family members who are Christians. I see we've got a call in the queue that's also about that subject. We were talking backstage about a book my brother, a evangelical pastor, for many years has been, who led me into the faith. If you read my book, you know the influence Chuck had on me. But he has written a book called Modern Paganism, and I've just gotten it today. I just learned of it today, and it's got some issues, but we're going to talk about maybe how to handle that. First of all, I want to not keep our wonderful co-host guest backstage any longer. Let's welcome whatever her name is tonight, Glenda. I know her as Glenda. Fuck, I can't think. Glenda. What?
Jalinda, David. Jalinda.
We were messing with your name so much I forgot what it actually was. Anyway, sorry, Glenda. How you doing?
I'm phenomenal today. I've had quite a deep human experience the past 72 hours, kind of.
Do you want to talk about it? Is that a private experience?
No. I just we might if it is so right in the conversation. I might. Okay. Yeah, I mentioned it a little bit after you left RFRX last night. Which, by the way, in case anyone isn't aware, Dave came on to RFRX last night. It was a wonderful show. It'll be uploaded to our YouTube channel, hopefully before too long. So good. Our guests had a lot to
explain what that is. What is RFRX for the people who watch this that don't know?
I'm so glad you asked.
Thank you.
RFRX is the shortened acronym for Recovering from RFRX sideshow. RFR is the term for Recovering from Religion. That is recoveringfromreligion.org. I volunteer for them. It is a nonprofit dedicated to providing hope, healing, and support for those on the spectrum of doubt and struggling with issues of faith and doubt. We have one of the most incredible resources pages out there of any topic under the sun. If you're struggling with it, lingering fear of hell, difficulty with friends and family, how to adjust to life outside of religion, we've got it all. We also have a thriving online community. We'd love to have you. We have a 24/7 chat line and hotline with trained agents standing by with a listening ear. So that is recoveringfromreligion.org, and we'd love to have you over there.
Yeah, Daryl was on the show last week, so we did talk a good bit about that. And RFRX is like the Monday night community hangout thing, right? And you have a guest each week, sort of thing.
You and you were the guest last night. RFRX is your prescription for healing. It is. We started it during the pandemic when we were all inside our houses, and it's just a weekly virtual online lecture. It's free. You are not required to activate your camera or talk or participate in any way. You can just call in and listen. I work there as a moderator. I make sure that trolls get stomped very quickly.
Oh, she is a troll stomper par excellence. He will bash their heads in. I'm telling you, Glenda, don't.
Fastest block frequency flaws.
She don't mess around. No. You don't come trolling around Glenda. It was fun. There was about 50 people there, I think, at one point. About 50. So it's a great conversation. A lot of Q&A. So hang out with RFRX on Monday nights at 7 Eastern. Yes. I'm sorry, 7 Central.
5 p.m.
Yeah.
my time. I live in Las Vegas, so you work that out wherever you are.
In Las Vegas time. We'll talk more about the thing with my brother's book because it's kind of on my mind and I'm kind of fired up
Yes,
about it.
please talk more
Let's
about it.
let's pick a call first because it might actually lead into this part of the conversation. John, he, him in California. Hey, John, you're on the
Hello.
line. Dave and Glenda.
How's it going?
Hi, John.
Good. It says you need advice talking to theist family members. How can we help you?
I don't know if I need advice. I was just, need a place to talk, I guess.
Sure.
But yeah. So I'm an atheist. I've been an atheist for about 10 years now. And for me, it was a very simple conclusion to come to once I no longer believed I'm an atheist now. But everyone seems to think that there must be some sort of traumatic event associated with it.
Yeah.
And, but I mean, one of the things that I get frustrated with is that I don't think people choose what they believe. And it's sort of trying to get that across. And I have this perception that the moment you're able to link any concept to what a theist believes, they have this infinite ability to not see the point. And it's really frustrating. And I mean, I know you guys probably deal with that a lot, having a show about this kind of stuff. So I was wondering how you guys deal with it.
With many banging of heads against the wall, personally. Glenda, do you have any religious family members left, or have you guys all come across to the dark side?
Okay, I do. My immediate I am #blessed with my immediate family, my twin sister, my 2 brothers, my incredible mother, her partner. We've all been out as atheists for since about 2009, actually. 2008, 2009 was like The Last of Us. So they're all out. My extended family, I don't have a lot of cousins. I don't really have any first cousins, although now I do through marriage, a very recent marriage. I do have religious family members. I don't have a close enough relationship with them that it becomes difficult. I know that it is a great source of pain for like my grandmother, for instance. Mm-hmm. She knows I'm a non-believer. It's very upsetting. And I don't have an answer for it, John. I'm sorry. As far as how do I talk to them? I don't. I tend not I don't know if any of them came to me in a good faith to have a conversation about it, I'd be willing to. But so far, those circumstances have not aligned. It's more the constant passive-aggressive comments anytime I'm around extended family members about Jesus and God and stuff that I just let go in one ear and out the other. Sure.
Yeah, I know I think when you say a good faith conversation with them, I've not experienced that much either. We were talking backstage a little bit about my evangelical pastor brother who makes periodic attempts to reconvert me or to persuade me to rethink my atheism, that sort of thing. John, I share your frustration because they do tend to believe, or they do tend to think that we can choose what we want to believe. And I remember thinking that too when I was a Christian. I remember thinking that you can choose what you believe. You can just simply choose to believe. And if you analyze the way that belief works, you really can't. If you're really being honest about what belief is, virtually impossible to say, I'm choosing to believe such and such. That's in my mind, a very dishonest approach to handling the term belief.
Right. And that was a huge thing for me when I was leaving the faith of I couldn't, even if I wanted to, I can't believe this. I can't force myself to believe in a fundamental reality that is not true to me. That there's no evidence. Like I couldn't, even if I wanted to, I can't. And that was a period of grief while I was deconstructing, of trying to believe in it and then knowing I didn't.
How old were you when you were deconstructing, Glenda? Must have been quite young.
It was a very much a death by a thousand cuts kind of deconstruction, snowball effect deconstruction. Yeah. But I started having issues of faith around 12, 13, growing into adolescence and like the misogyny and the faith and all that. Yeah. And then I used the word atheist to describe myself when I was 19.
Okay, so you were out by then, completely done with it.
Oh yeah. Bye, deuces. Yes.
John, have you attempted to have conversations with family members, and what has that been like, if so?
Well, the most recent example happened, I think, 2 days ago, and it was specifically about the topic of belief. Mm-hmm. And the example I used, because he of course, he's a Christian, so he must believe that you choose what you believe. But what I said was, okay, just for the sake of argument, I want you to sincerely believe that if you give me $200, I will use that to access this store of money I have of $2 million, and then we can share that money. But you must give me the $200 first. You have to believe that. So then, of course, he can't engage, because if they do choose to quote unquote believe, then please give me my $200. Yeah. If he chooses not to give you the $200, he doesn't sincerely believe, which is then demonstrating the point that he can't choose to believe it. So it's sort of a catch-22 of we can't choose what we believe. But then the moment we get past that point, it's like that didn't happen. It's like we didn't have that conversation. He goes right back to, oh, well, you can't choose what you believe. And it's so frustrating.
Which is kind of like gaslighting you, right? About what you just, like the conversation you just had, the reality that just happened to you. They're like, that's not really what I meant, and that's not really what happened, and that's and they'll find whatever whataboutism to get around you in good faith trying to have this conversation. John, can I ask you, have you ever watched or engaged in any street epistemology videos? Do you know about street epistemology?
I have not, and I'm not sure exactly what street epistemology is. I have engaged with street evangelists, and I know that's a different thing, but what exactly is street epistemology?
So it is a form of Socratic reflexive debate that the most famous purveyor of street epistemology that is involved in the community is Anthony Magnabosco. Jimmy, I don't know if you want to put his link in the chat. Anthony Magnabosco, he has a YouTube channel. There's a book about it. It is a method of engaging in conversation with somebody that is a reflective Socratic debate method. It's like you're getting the person to reflect on their own beliefs, and not every single person you debate with this way is, of course, going to like play along in the way that you hope will get them to reflect on their beliefs. It has helped me so much, just in all aspects of my life, of having a conversation with somebody. I can't emphasize street epistemology enough that maybe the next time, and can I clarify, was this you don't have to answer if you don't want to. Was this an immediate family member, a brother, brother-in-law, father?
Well, the most recent one I just told you about was my brother, but basically I'm one of the only atheists in my family, and they all basically tell me I'm wrong constantly.
John, that's really hard. That's really, really, really difficult.
Yeah, I'm much the same. I have multiple family members, brothers, moms, daughters, uncles, cousins who profess evangelicalism. I've only got one son who's not really in that world anymore, and then a cousin. But I'm very much alone in that. I don't engage with them much, but when I do, it's not pleasant, because my brother's really the only one that makes an effort to dissuade me, and then when I challenge him on it, he backs off. I've challenged him to come on the shows like this and talk about it publicly. I've offered to come to his church and sit on a stage and take questions from his congregants and himself, and he won't do it. So it's not a good faith. To me, that's not a good faith conversation if they're afraid to engage in any public way. Let's just keep this private. That way I'm not exposed in front of anyone. And I find that incredulous. And I'm just like, really? You've got the answers to the universe and you don't want to talk about that publicly? How many people?
Because you're full of shit. Like,
it almost reveals that in a very tangible way. Like when you challenged your brother, John, to put action to his supposed belief, and he chose not to do that, and then came up with a lame excuse why he wouldn't do that. It pretty much exposes him.
Well, I don't,
John,
I don't know if I would say
they reach out to you. They like try to. So your family, as far as I've heard you say, they do try to like reach out and evangelize to you to bring you back into the fold, as it were. Correct?
Mm-hmm. Of course, yes.
Hard.
What do they say is the reason you left? I mean, what's the main excuse you get from them? You just wanted to sin. You never were saved. Which one do they? Which bingo spot do they take on that? But mostly,
It depends on whatever they need to say to protect their own ideology at any given moment. They aren't consistent on what they say, even though I am very consistent on the story I tell them for why I'm an atheist. Their understanding for why I'm an atheist is dependent on the weather outside or what we had for dinner, or if I make a point that they're incapable of refuting and they know it, or at least that's my perception. They end with, oh well, you know, you just want to sin, but that's okay because we know you'll think about it and you'll come to the conclusion later that you were wrong. And it's just,
I hear you. That's why I said it's an exercise in banging your head against a wall. I do want to echo what Glenda said about street epistemology. It is Socratic in its style. It's more asking questions, and you end up backing them into a corner by asking the right questions. And it's not an attack mode, so that they're less defensive. You know, why do you believe that? Tell me what you mean by that. What would cause you to change your mind about that? Anything that would cause you to change about your belief system. And when you ask those kinds of questions, it's a bit disarming, and it causes them to have to come up with answers that they're not in a defensive posture. We had a poll question last night at the RFRX thing that I think would be a neat exercise when we talked about meaning in life. And the question was, what do you say when people ask you how you have meaning as an atheist? And the multiple choice was: 1, you say, go fuck yourself. 2, you say, we make our own meaning. 3, you ask, what was the meaning that you felt like God gave you? Or what is the meaning you feel like God gives you? And then the 4th question was none of the above or something. But that third answer is what I try to go with if I'm ever confronted with questions like that. When people say, how can you have meaning or purpose as an atheist? Then if you ask them, well, tell me what the meaning and purpose that you get from God is. Explain that to me. And usually when you do something like that, they don't have a ready answer. They don't have a concise explanation of what they think that meaning and purpose is. They have a broad, generalized idea about it because they've heard, God gives me my meaning. What does that mean to you? Explain that to me. Break that down for me. And most of the time, you can't. And so that's an example of street epistemology. The reason it's called street epistemology because Anthony is a good friend of mine, and he's wonderful at this.
We love Anthony.
He's honed his skills over years of doing this, but he'll go out on the street, college campuses, and engage people in conversations using this epistemology method. And it's very, very effective. He's actually changed people's minds in the midst of these conversations.
Oh, he has. And once you, John, once you watch the videos, you'll understand, like, you'll get a feel for, you can even go by like most viewed or whatever. And he's all over social media. I think he has a TikTok. He has a Facebook page. There's also like a subreddit that's dedicated to learning. Street epistemology is not easy. Like you're not naturally inclined. Like we want to debate with evidence and facts and personal feelings.
Ask questions.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it has taken, I mean, I've been watching the videos and then like really developing my skills for years, and I'm still not like, I mean, I'm not practicing all the time. I am not going out on a college campus and tell me why you believe what you believe. But once you watch the videos, you'll get an idea for like, you are just getting the person you're talking to reflect on their own beliefs. And it is profound. I feel like I've watched some street epistemology videos where if I had one conversation as a believer with some of these, like it would have completely shattered my world. Just one.
Yeah. And I think it might be disarming for your family members when they come at you, and it should be, most likely will be less frustrating for you, because you're not trying to convince them or to counter their argument. You're just calling on them to give more full explanation. And more often than not, they'll back themselves into a corner. And it doesn't put them on a defensive, because you're not attacking anything. You're just asking questions. It's worth a shot. It'll be less.
It is, John.
Voice.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm definitely going to go check those videos out. But I guess I'll a final thought. One of the things that I know my family specifically don't understand is that when I enter into their spaces, the things that they assume are just the default and assume are just normal and have to be accepted are the things that I fundamentally reject. But then when I invite them to my home, they don't have any problem with trying to force me to adhere to their ideology, I guess I would say. And I guess that is another point where it's just so frustrating, is because it's like you guys are able to, like, because I mean, they're largely liberal leaning, and I'll say things like, "Oh, you understand the concept of white supremacy. You understand the concept of like the appeal to the default as a way to enforce this." And I was like, "Now take that and apply it to Christianity." And it just, the moment you try and get them to have a concrete connection to challenge their belief, they, and I think I heard Jimmy say this yesterday, like they weaponize their ignorance. Like it's all of a sudden they are incapable of seeing the connection.
Yeah.
And it's exhausting. John, you're so right. It's absolutely exhausting it's like what Dave experiences and what you and what so many other, those of us who have religious family members experience. I am not sending atheist articles to my religious family members. I am not reaching out to any of my religious family members to try to get them to become atheists or secular or even understand my point of view. I live my own little world. It's them encroaching on our space, and like
over and over again.
It's just such selfish bullshit.
Yeah, it's they don't understand boundaries. They feel like they have the right to impose their ideas on everyone around them, and yet they, if they see that Disney has a gay character, then they're screaming, "They're forcing the gay agenda on us." No, they're not. They're just giving people who've been marginalized a bit of a voice in this world.
Which I love that argument specifically because in my own community, like I have at this point, I have very much a curated social group and my own friends and my own community and my own polycule, as it were. Like if you're just like a straight cis person, like you're in the minority. I don't have many of those. Meanwhile, I haven't run into a straight person in 10 days or something. You're the minority. You live in a different world than me.
John, I feel your pain, brother. I'm right there with you. I deal with. I mean, I'm pretty disconnected from most of my family members. It's just like we're not cut off from each other. I am from one daughter by her choice, but most of the others I have connection with. We just don't have much interaction. I don't live near them. Sounds like you live near yours. I don't have any occasion to cross paths with them unless it's a special event, like my mom's 90th birthday this summer. We went to Texas for that. And man, I was in the belly of the beast. I had one cousin that came up to me privately and said, "Man, I dig what you're doing and you're a badass and you got more courage than anybody in this fucking place." But he was just one cousin.
Whispering.
among dozens of Christians, and they were singing worship songs at a birthday party, and it was just like,
At a birthday party, get out of here.
But
Yeah.
for the most part,
Crazy.
we're disconnected, and I don't have to deal with it as much as it sounds like you do. So I'm glad you've got spaces like this to talk it out and to vent and to get ideas. Keep doing that, man. Reach out as often as you can. I'm glad you got free. What was it, by the way, that led you out of that? If you
I want to know too.
Describe that for us.
Sure. It was when I joined the military, right? It was leaving the echo chamber. When I was younger, like I never liked worshiping. I never liked the singing. I never liked the community. The only thing I really ever liked about Christianity was when the preacher would get up there and read the Bible, because my brain is very rule oriented. I wanted to know what the rules were. And so as long as I say I'm a Christian, they didn't care, but then I get out of the echo chamber and I start talking to people. And of course, my first instinct is to evangelize. And I always felt like, hey, that was a good conversation, until I ran into my first atheist. And he knew what Occam's razor was when I was describing it, but I didn't know what it was. He knew what Pascal's wager was, even though I didn't know what it was. Like he knew what, he just tore me apart. And I felt like I was failing God, And then I was like, I'm going to go back and I'm going to learn all of the reasons why Christianity is correct. And then that true, authentic, and sincere pursuit of the truth led me out of Christianity.
You're not the first one that's fallen for that trap. I'm going to
study. No, you're not the first.
I'm going to study up on apologetics so I can defend my faith.
I'll prove you wrong. Oh,
then
no.
You start reading and go, oh shit, this is not good. This is not good.
Well, John, I'm going to constantly, I am not here on behalf of RFR, but I'm essentially here on behalf of RFR. I will tell you that the number one thing our clients come to us is because of fractured friends and family and relationships, fractured relationships. And this counts. And you, unfortunately, are not alone with experiencing this, time. And Seth Andrews is one of the most prolific atheists, content creators out there. And he has real difficult time with his family and them not respecting his boundaries and still trying to evangelize to him. And you're not alone. And it's so emotionally exhausting. Even if you're like just being around it, like at a kid's birthday party and like, let's sing a worship song. I don't know if this happens to you, John, but this has happened to me.
Oh my God. Yeah. Can I tell you?
Yes.
My mom, like I left my daughter with her for just a few minutes, and I came back and I hear her telling a story from the Bible about, and my daughter was 5 at the time, about how like the woman had lust after the men, ejaculations like donkeys and shit. I'm like, Mom, what the fuck are you doing? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to curse so hard, but like unbelievable. Unbelievable.
I'm sorry, man.
It's so.
Just hold your ground, John, and continue to engage politely and with kindness and compassion. Try the epistemology, the Socratic method, as much as possible, and then keep calling into shows like this to have a place to talk and feel like you're not crazy, because that's
find your local meetup. Find your local secular atheist meetup so that you can just. It's kind of an ongoing joke, but if you meet with a bunch of ex-evangelicals, ex-Christians, it always turns into just group therapy or the venting, the ranting. It's very therapeutic. So I don't know where you're, California, but
my best friends are people who've deconstructed like me. I've got a great tribe of people like that, and I get as much as possible. Well, thanks, John. You hang in there, man. Appreciate the call.
Thank you, John.
Yeah, thanks a lot for listening, guys.
You bet. Anytime.
All right. Bye-bye.
Oh my God. So frustrating. It's the disrespect of like expecting like when you're in our house, you have to, like, whenever we do prayer, like you need to be involved, that whatever, because this is our house. And when we're in your house, same rules apply. I'm not going to respect the fact that you don't believe, and that's dominionism. I mean, it's dominionism. There is no life outside of God. It's
aggravating, to say the least. Well, you may be sitting there wondering, how can we support you guys at the line? Well, I'll tell you, there's a couple of ways. I know you're asking that. You can become a patron supporter, patreon.com/calltheline. And a more immediate way is super chats. We love your super chats. We love to read them out online, on the air, at the end of the show. Any super chat of $5 or more American, well, $5 Canadian, $5 whatever it is, we'll read that super chat at the end. Glenda and I will take turns. You can stay and do that, right, Glenda? Okay.
Yes, I don't have. I did my task today. I don't have anything else to do today.
We appreciate your support. We need your support. These shows are making a difference, and your support helps us keep these things going. Helps us reach the people that need to be reached. Have a place for them to have a voice and to call in and talk about things that matter. So please consider doing that. We'd love to hear from you in the super chats today. Call in. We have lines open. That number 720-619-2288. I don't know the schedule. I don't have it up of the upcoming shows. And half the time when I read those out, I'm getting them wrong anyway. So the show's coming up. We've got tomorrow night, the Hang Up. We've got Thursday night, the Transatlantic Call-In Show. And I'm missing a couple, but I'm doing my best. So anyway, you've got those in the notes too as well. Let's take another call. We've got Gimpy G, he, him, Colorado. Gimpy, you're on the line with Dave and Glenda. How can we help tonight?
Well, hi, both of you. It's good meeting you.
Yeah.
So, Dave, you actually asked me to call in at one point, and we exchanged emails because I had a way that you could, like, look at the screen and click things. But anyways,
okay.
I'm calling about the purpose. Yeah. About purpose in life and all that. You and I are on different ends of the spectrum as far as muscular dystrophy goes. Mine was at birth, so I haven't been able to move my entire life. And then yours is kicking in recently, right?
Late in life, yep.
So, yeah, you're a late bloomer. Too bad.
Could
have been cool your whole life, but no.
Well, I'm sorry you're dealing with that, but talk to us about making your own purpose in life. How has that looked for you?
Well, okay, I kind of have a philosophy that purpose is a lot like chemicals or preservatives in bologna. We add it after the fact to give it form and like texture. So I don't think there is actually any purpose. It's just what we decide the meaning of our actions are. But further, I don't know if you're getting this yet, but I'm very obviously disabled. So if I'm out at Walmart or something and I'm happy, people automatically think I'm religious, and they just get offended when and I'm really nice, but they get offended when I say I'm not, because they can't imagine how I would have purpose or be able to stay sane, having the inability to move without God being there. And to me, that's exactly the opposite. When you don't think there's a God out there, some random force that makes absolutely no sense, trying to control the direction they're going, and then you're actually deciding what I'm doing is, for my own sake, that's way more comfortable. That's way more relaxing than trying to guess God's purpose.
Oh my goodness. Gimpy, first of all, I loved your analogy about the bologna and the preservatives added after the fact. That was delightful to hear.
Yeah.
You touched on such a profound concept that for anyone in the chat who kind of isn't up to speed with conversations about ableism and the concept of inspiration porn and disabled people being used as inspiration porn, if you've never heard of that term.
True.
Yes,
I hadn't, but
especially
I know
very
what you're talking about now.
especially very like visibly physically disabled people deal with being used without their consent as inspiration porn, and religious people crawl over broken glass to use physically disabled people as their inspiration porn for the greater purpose in their life, because it is so unsettling for religious people to confront the reality that profound physical disabilities, terminal illnesses like Dave has with ALS, is just like, there is no greater purpose. It's just the cosmic joke of life. There was a genetic lottery, you lost it, or there was an accident and something happened. And that makes people so uncomfortable, because that fear of it could just happen to me and that there's no deep meaning, there's no reason. I can just be diagnosed with a terminal illness one day, or my child can be born with muscular dystrophy or something like that. And that is so uncomfortable for them to come to terms with. And that therefore they get angry at you for daring to exist in a reality where you're not serving that, assuaging their comfort level and like making it feel better for them. Because, oh, well, it's okay that you have this disability because there's a heaven waiting for you. So it's okay that your life on this earth is difficult and painful and complicated, because you can get just desserts at the end. And for you to go, no, I don't believe that.
I'm sorry, Glenda.
No, I'm talking over you. Please go ahead.
Did you call that purpose porn? Or no, what'd you call
purpose
that?
Porn? Yeah, I would think that's interchangeable. Purpose porn, inspiration porn. Okay. Yeah, your purpose in life. Yeah.
Okay, so I get that all the time where I say, okay, then what's my purpose? The purpose is always, well, God's showing me through your misfortune that I'm very fortunate. So I'm inspiring them. I'm not even a second civil character, not even a sidekick. I'm like, I got also mentioned, and I just happen to inspire them. It's just bizarre.
It's dehumanizing. Yeah, it's totally dehumanizing.
It is, because they then are still the center of their universe, and God is using your disability or my illness to make them feel better about God's plan for them.
Right. They heard somehow this all-knowing, all-loving thing is just jacking my shit up to make them feel better about their life. It's really weird.
Have you always been an atheist, Gimpy?
Since I was 12, I went through a bunch of surgeries and things, and there were babies dying in the intensive care. I was in intensive care for like a month. And when the babies would die, the preacher would come in to tell them, oh, there was a reason for that, and now that baby's in heaven. And then if the baby made it and the doctors were successful, they'd come in and say, oh, look, God saved your baby. And I was like, wait a minute, this God gig is really sweet. No matter what you do, you win. You did the right thing. So I just knew it couldn't be true. These babies were suffering and everything, and there was no reason for it. It just happened. And it was the humans that were trying to intervene, not some unseen force.
Yeah. That's pretty interesting. So when you say, when you go out, I guess you're in a wheelchair, and like you said, it's obvious that you have a disability. I'm not quite that obvious yet. I do walk it's awkwardly with a gait that's clear. You can tell if you're watching that there's something wrong, but I'm in a wheelchair some, but not all the time. And so I don't get that yet enough, as much as you do probably, but I can see people's faces, and I've had the difference from you in that I was a Christian for so long, and now I'm an atheist, and I got diagnosed with ALS as an atheist and not as a Christian. Whereas I think if I would have been a Christian when I got diagnosed, it would have been a much more difficult thing to handle, because then I've got to figure out how God factors into this. And
Mhm.
we're
Right, and the reason why you were, because there's a good
what
reason for it.
God's saying. And so Christians that see us as atheists with a disability, like Glenda said, and like you said, they don't have a category for that. It doesn't fit neatly into
Right.
their paradigm. It doesn't fit into their worldview, into their narrative. And so they've got to create a story around it. And they have to keep themselves as the apple of God's eye. They've got to keep themselves as the central character in that story. And you and I are just
Right.
peripheral characters. We're just the sidekick, like you said. And it's dehumanizing.
So,
and I like the term inspiration porn and purple. I think that
I really like that.
Yeah.
And it's done so non-consensually.
Right.
It's there are some other organizations. Face Equality International is a great organization for just raising awareness for people with facial disfigurements and different kinds of faces in the spectrum of both genetic disorders and accidents. And people, if you don't live this life and you don't have someone personally in your life, you cannot fathom how absolutely fucking weird people get with you when you walk around with a visible physical disability, of strangers coming up to you wow, you're so brave for just coming out here and existing. You're so inspiring to me. It's who the fuck asked you? I didn't ask you. Did I ask your opinion?
It's true.
Oh my God, it's true. And it happens. Now, and it's so gross and uncomfortable.
Since you guys know the religious side more, what in the world? I've had this happen on several occasions. Somebody will come up and put their hand on me and say, you'll be able to pet lions. Something like that. They'll say, you'll pet lions and tigers, or I don't know. What the hell does that mean? I know it's religious, but what's the lions and tigers and bears?
Yeah, you're going to lay down in heaven with the lions and you'll pet them. What do you say to them when they say that?
I have no idea what they're talking about. It's
so crack? Is it crack that you're smoking? Is it crack? Fuck you. I can't imagine anything more narcissistic than you assuming somebody has the exact same sorry, it just makes me so mad, the idea of imposing the arrogance. And then they turn around, it's atheists that are arrogant. Oh my God.
They do that, and they say, why are you so angry, Glenda? Why are you so angry? You're the angry atheist.
And they do say that. Why are you angry at God? And I'm dude, I'm not angry at God. There is
angry
no God.
at you. I'm not angry.
Yeah, exactly. I hate you.
Yeah, I hate you. I hate you. That's my face. I hope you get eaten by a lion. No, just kidding.
Right.
Yeah. Footless Joe was on the show a couple of weeks ago as my guest, and she's an amputee, and we talked about this whole. She's obviously, she has a prosthetic limb and things like that, so she's obviously disabled as well. And we talked about that whole the inspiration. We didn't use the term. I like the term inspiration porn, but how we react when people tell us. How we react when people tell us we're inspiring. And we both feel, it's uncomfortable, but we understand where it's coming from. We understand that now when I have people in the atheist community who tell me that, I recognize that they find value in the work that I'm doing. And so I don't have a problem with that, but a stranger coming up to me in a store, no. Oh no. You don't know me.
Right.
You don't know my story. You're making all kinds of assumptions about my story, and that's not okay. So that's where
here's good news. The young kids are doing much better. I have degrees in mathematics and educational psychology, so I taught high school and college and things. And during my first parent-teacher conferences, over half the parents had no clue I was quadriplegic and couldn't move. and that their kids were going to the board. They had no clue, which I thought that was really neat. That because I am different. They're definitely a different teaching style than they had ever come in contact with, but the kids had never, or they just don't talk to their parents anymore. I guess they could. Yeah, I guess that could be it. But no, I really enjoyed them all. They
just go home and get their phones.
The kids are all right. The kids are all right. No, I have heard. I have heard
the kids are all right. Yeah.
That they are. Sorry, excuse me, my cat.
No, I hate the idea that they're getting worse, and we were assholes back in the 80s and 90s.
They're the hope of the country. The young people. We're the ones that affected every way imaginable.
I mean, I'm a millennial. I'm younger than that. I went, I born in 89, graduated high school in 2008. But I think about the growth that's happened or the shifting of our perspective from when I was a kid to now. Yeah, I've heard just the more nuanced understanding of both physical and mental disabilities. And it's just so different than it was. It's not, I mean, obviously it's not perfect. It's not great. We have so much work to do in ableism as a whole. I highly encourage everybody, please just go just do a Wikipedia dive into ableism. Just do a little Google, look into it, read a little bit more about it, to help understand the reality for people living with physical disabilities.
It has gotten worse with Trump. I'll just say that.
Oh, yeah.
I got the police called on me to kick me out of the local theater. So, and they were Trumples. So, so it's they feel emboldened somehow. I think
they do.
Because he's an asshole. They're like, wow, I can be an asshole too.
And anger and bigotry in ways that we haven't seen in so long, since the 60s. Really, it's tragic.
Right.
And people get downright. Sorry, I'm just blocking some light right here. People get downright.
No, you go ahead.
Psychotic. My nesting partner, my fiance, is 100% disabled, and he walks around normal. I mean, he's just had surgery and he walks around normally now. But he uses the disabled parking spots because sometimes it's harder with his hip injuries, knee injuries, all that stuff. And if he drives my car that doesn't have disabled veteran license plates on it, and people see him get out of the car and they see him parked in a disabled spot, you aren't disabled enough to be there. People get absolutely psychotic. It is insane. And of course, there's the MAGA hat on top, just as the little cherry on top of, Shrek.
Well, guys, I really appreciate this. This has been fun.
Gimpy, you're great. Keep it up. Yeah. I love your attitude. I love your thought process. Appreciate all that you got going on, and I know you've had to. Yeah. I mean, if you've dealt with muscular dystrophy your whole life, then you've overcome some shit. So, kudos to you. I won't say you're inspirational. I won't do that.
You're so inspiring.
That's fine.
You're a hero. Yeah, but I appreciate all that you bring into the table because you're a badass.
You too, Dave.
I will say you're inspiring for shaping the new generation.
See, as a person, not as an object. That's much better.
Exactly, as a person, as a person, not as an object. Yes.
Because I'm awesome, you respect that. That's cool. I can get behind that.
Awesome.
So, okay.
Well, thank you for calling. It's been fun to talk to you.
Thank you, Gimpy.
No problem. I want to call and talk to Matt sometime. I just have to gird my loins and get ready to be called Puckface or something. But it's okay. Once I get strong enough, I'll call in and talk to Matt.
All righty. Bye-bye, Gimpy.
Bye, guys.
Bye, Gimpy.
We have lines. Give us a call, 720-611-2288. Talk about, we'd like to hear from you if you're struggling with dealing with health issues in life and how people react to that, or dealing with family members like the first caller. So that was a great conversation with Gimpy, and it's the whole disabled thing. I remember talking with Footless Joe and how someone, she had people tell her more than once that I don't see you as disabled. In other words, it's like people trying to say I don't see color. Yeah,
I know,
you do.
it's bullshit. Yes, you
Yeah,
do.
you do. And I am disabled. And let's just embrace that and not try to pretend that I'm not, or not. It minimizes my experience
Right.
when
It's
you
a
do
part of who I am. It's a part
that.
of who I am.
And I'm okay with it. I need you to be okay with it. And let's just see how we can manage life as a disabled person, because I am not abled like I was. I'm not abled like you are. And so let's not pretend that I'm something that I'm not, because that diminishes it. And then it diminishes me. And the
Right.
ableism is good. That inspiration porn, unpack that a bit more, Glenda. I think that's really a powerful concept.
Yeah. I've followed some disability activists for quite a while. And, as I said, my fiance is disabled, and I have some other partners who have disabilities, and both physical and mental. And I, when I had my feminist awakening, as it were, and I consider myself an intersectional feminist, and intersectional feminism deals with all those different labels, as it were, that denote different issues of your life. And I realizing that, like, you can't have social justice and social liberation without acknowledging all these barriers to living an equitable life. And ableism, institutionalized ableism, is one of those things. And I, you know, uh, having friends with very profound physical disabilities and physical illnesses, because I don't, have any very overt physical disabilities or anything like that. And how they navigate through life, and how weird people are with them, and using them without their consent, of you're as the inspiration porn. I mean, we really, and this, especially with social media, right? Like, when social media came into the picture, you get Facebook, one prayer, one share equals one prayer, and one like equals 10 prayers. And that people want to share these images of physically disabled people as it's such an inspiration that they get up and do their day. So it's more inspiration for me to exist, because if this totally disabled person can do it, I can do it. And it's just, you are truly dehumanizing a person to just see them as just I mean, I'm not the person to talk about this, right? I'm not a very physically disabled I do struggle with some issues, but not enough to speak on this as a disabled person. So I'm trying to think of activists to follow. Go look at Face Equality International. That's just for physical, visual disabilities. There's a lot of people who work with them who their physical disability doesn't provide them. It doesn't provide them. It's not a hindrance to their life. It just means they look different, but it doesn't mean that they don't navigate through life being treated differently because they physically look different. But yeah,
I'm
it's a thing.
probably going to deal with some of that more down the road as my disability gets more pronounced and more obvious. And it is getting that way. People who see me now, from when you see me next weekend, you'll notice that I'm more impacted than the last time you saw me at the American Atheist Conference.
I've noticed.
You'll see that I'm having more difficulty functioning, and so as that happens, and I'm out in public, more obviously disabled, that I'm sure I'll deal with that more. The different looks, different comments. I haven't had a lot of people come up to me, total strangers, and tell me I'm going to pet lions in heaven. I really can't wait for that.
You gotta think about you have to decide now, Dave. What are you gonna? I mean, obviously your mood, what kind of day you've had, if Bev is with you, all these things. But what are you gonna say?
I'm going to say this. I'm going to say, what makes you think I would want to pet a lion in heaven? What makes you think I'll do that? Well, because the Bible says that we'll lay down. Why would I care what the Bible says? And what makes you assume I'm going to heaven? And then make them, that's, again, that Socratic method of asking questions. I'll try not to do it with an angry voice, but just more like Oh, really? So tell me how that works.
Yeah, tell me why. How did you come to that conclusion? Tell me why. How did you come to that conclusion that that was the truth?
That I'm going to pet a lion. Where would that be? In heaven. Well, why would you assume that I would go to heaven?
Right.
Yeah. So I don't know. I guess that's to the degree that you can have a rational conversation with someone who believes in that. Back to the first caller about talking with theists.
Yeah.
It's
Mhm.
difficult because they're so enveloped in a make-believe world that
Mhm.
we mentioned it earlier. I'll reference back to my evangelical pastor's book, my brother's book. And Chuck, if you're watching this, the invitation's still open. I'll come sit down at your church with you, and we'll discuss my deconstruction. And I'll ask any question you want, and any of your church members can ask me any question. That invitation is still open. Anyway, he wrote this book called Modern Paganism, and he's trying to take the position that the secular culture is nothing more than paganistic religion. He calls paganism a religion. And he makes a statement that I'm making notes as I'm reading it. He makes a statement like, most of the people in the world are not true atheists. They're just pagans who, when pressed, will admit a belief in God. So my question, brother, is how many true atheists have you talked to? Evidently not many, because that's just a false statement on so many levels. And
They all say that though. They like deep down, you actually do believe. No, I can't.
don't. And you saying that doesn't make it true. So stop saying things that aren't true. I just, when they make and obviously you can write a book and no one's refuting you. But if I could get him to come on the show, which is another invitation I'm going to put out there, come on the show. Let's talk about your book, and we can take calls. Your people call, my people call, whatever. Anybody can call.
I promise we'll be nice. Like that's nice. I won't. I'm not. This is not a disparaging comment, but I won't go the path of Matt Dillahunty. I'm not. There is a spectrum. I'm going to be more on the Anthony Magnabosco side.
No,
I'm not going to
defend your position in a public forum, not in the echo chamber where everybody goes, "Amen, Pastor Chuck. Amen." You tell him, brother. Come on, bring it.
Oh, yeah,
We're here. We're here.
I'm ready. Bring it.
I asked my sister-in-law, his wife, sent me a message this morning saying that my husband, it's weird how she worded it. My husband has written a book. It's available on Amazon. I'm not sure why she didn't say your brother, but nonetheless. And then she said, "I hope you'll read it." She said, "I've read yours." And she said, "Read yours, hope you'll read his." And I answered her back and said, "Yes, I didn't know he'd written a book. I'll get it today." Did he read my book? Meaning, did my brother read my book? And
did your husband
read my book? I haven't heard from her. She did not answer yes or no. But we'll see. And if he hasn't, then I'm going to say, "Really, bro? You've got a brother who wrote a memoir and you don't have enough interest in that to actually read it?" Again, what are you afraid of? Anyway, that's another subject for another day. But we've talked backstage about having a show where we deal with, or have my brother on. If not, then maybe just have a show where we critique the book.
I don't have a family member. I don't have a family member I would challenge to that.
Really?
Otherwise, I would. It's not. I don't have the relationship with my religious, distant family members that I think, hey, are you willing to debate in a public forum? No. I'm trying to think, and I don't have any really.
If you would do it if they offered it, right?
If they offered, yeah, a total. Oh my God, yeah. If any of my religious family was like, "Hey, my church is hosting this thing. You happen to be an atheist that I know. We would love to talk to you." I I would clear room. I would cancel gigs. I would get on a plane. I would go, like, absolutely, bring it.
But you wouldn't challenge him, is what you're saying.
Only in that, like, I just don't have that relationship with them, and I know. And when I say, like, I really don't have that large of an extended family. I don't have like a whole bunch of cousins.
The reason I would do it with my brother is that he's challenged me so many times. He's made,
which is why it's extra bullshit that he's not taking you up on this offer.
I wouldn't do that with either of my daughters who still believe, because they've not challenged me in that way. They've not come at me. But Chuck keeps coming at me periodically. And the fact that he's feels the boldness to come at me and yet not accept a challenge when I respond, I keep saying, what is it you're afraid of? Why are you doing this? I mean, let's bring this out into the open, not in my echo chamber or yours, because we both have echo chambers. I realize that we all live in echo chambers.
Right.
Enough of us.
But we also enter non-echo chamber spaces. Like, that's another thing that I was like, yes, I do have an echo chamber. Yeah, my friends and my social media that I curate, but I live in a world, in a society, in a world where I'm not in an echo chamber, and I do have to, like, be confronted with people with differing opinions that don't think I deserve to take up space and breathe. Like, that is I'm very aware of the opinions of people not in my echo chamber. I talk to them personally. Like, not like I'm completely removed from this situation. I'm not an entirely work from home person. I do go out in the world and talk.
Well, we've bantered back and forth enough. Let's take another call, Glenda.
Okay.
Damien, he, him in Texas. Hey, Damien, you're on the line with Dave and Glenda. What's on your mind?
Hi, Dave. Hi, Glenda.
Hi.
You might know me better as Whiskey Spirit Guide. I've popped in a couple of super chats before.
Oh, yeah. How you doing, man? Thanks for supporting us. Speaking of super chats, get your super chats in, $5 or more. We'll read them on the air later. Come on, we want to read from you. What's on your mind, Damien? Your grandfather's dying of Parkinson's. Is that?
Yeah, so so little backstory without getting into too thick of the weeds. There's not like a family history of it or anything. He was in Vietnam. He was very heavily exposed to Agent Orange. And as a result, he developed Parkinson's, and it's been slowly getting worse and worse. But now it's getting worse exponentially. The trouble I'm having, I guess, is my immediate relatives are a bunch of pretty hardcore red hats, and they're very, very hardcore right-wing religious, very, very hardcore Christian. And and I'm a paramedic. And so I try to talk to them about his health and just kind of the science of what's going on in his body. And I don't pretend to have any expertise, but I do have more knowledge in that subject than they do.
You have a little. I don't want you to do yourself a disservice. You're not completely like raw dogging no medical information at all. Like I'm not a Facebook scientist. I'm definitely not like a Facebook scientist in that realm. But like I definitely have some more knowledge in terms of medical science in general than they do, because they're pretty intensely pretty intense science deniers.
Yeah.
But
what are they after? What do they want? I mean, you say he's having a hard time talking with his family. What are they after? What do they want from him or you?
It comes to it really comes down to they want, I guess that they want more answers, and they want me to try to conflate. Like, they know that I am medically knowledgeable to some degree, and they want me to try to conflate the medical science of things, and they want to conflate that with
like their religion, and I have to tiptoe very carefully around that and try to be like, okay, well, I can't say that, that this, muscular degeneration is caused by anything spiritual. This is a disconnect in his nervous system and a disconnect between his brain and his muscles. And
they're trying to make it like he's got a demon, or that he's being tested by God, or that's faith, or are they going down?
They go down. Some of my family will go down that route, but for the most part, it's like they want to kind of impose on me that, oh, well, this is definitely God's will. This is how this is supposed to be. And I'm like, but they don't want it to be that way. And they keep asking me what to do. And I don't have an answer for them on one side or the other. And it's like, I don't have a way to.
Are they wanting to be healed? Do they think God wants to heal him?
I don't think so. I think we're all pretty well knowledgeable of the fact that he's kind of past that point. Okay. But I think the biggest thing is dealing right now with his mortality. And it's the fact that he's going to die. This is going to kill him sooner rather than later. And it's difficult because he basically raised me and my twin brother. And I'm a twin too. But we, he basically raised us, and now we're having to watch him deteriorate like this. And we know that he's, collapsing. And my twin, who hasn't totally given up on our religious upbringing yet, he's working his way out of there. But when I say religious upbringing, I mean deep, Southern Baptist. We didn't believe in premarital sex, but only because we were afraid it might lead to dancing.
Yep, ex-Southern Baptist here. Okay,
yeah.
Damien, that is so hard. I'm really sorry that you're going through that. That's slow. I mean, all death is hard, right? Whether it's sudden, unexpected, but slow death, as Dave knows, and all of us who love Dave know specifically, is a specific level of hell that we go through, and it's really difficult. And this is the disservice that religion does, because you are not prepared to face the reality of death, and you're looking for answers, and you want. From what I understood from what you said, it seems like that there is this desire to have an understanding of the science behind what is happening and how is this going to work and how is your grandfather going to deteriorate. But I have to somehow marry this with my religiosity, which is antithetical to foundational understandings of biology and life and death, and trying to make those work in the emotional chaos that creates, which is what most of us are familiar with from having been a religious person. You can't make those things work in your brain, and it leaves you feeling so upset and confused and frustrated, and the horror of facing the reality that it's just shitty. It's just a genetic lottery. And although this one is not a genetic lottery, if I were to get really political about it, I'd be like, if the red hat thing, it's like, this is what happens when we use chemical agents in warfare, and to have a military state where we're engaging in violent warfare with other countries. This is the consequence of that. We're experiencing it right now. And sadly, this is something that's repeated, that billions of people have endured over centuries of war and all of those things. And like I said, my nesting partner, fiance, is very physically disabled from his time in wartime, and it's not great. And your family is looking for answers. And I appreciate the difficulty of you trying to explain. They see you as the medical expert, because I'm assuming. I mean, can I ask a question? Are there any other members in your family that have any other medical training or knowledge?
My mother is a pharmacologist, but she works in a pharmacy, but she doesn't do any medical practice.
Right. Well, Damien, let me ask you, where's your grandfather in terms of faith? What is he? Is he an atheist or Christian or somewhere in between?
He is a very hardcore Christian. He is very, very sleeps with the Bible next to the bed, kind of a Christian. And it's, but yeah, that's kind of my big ordeal is like she was saying, like they're looking for answers for me and they're looking for help for me, and it's really difficult when like they call me, like my grandmother will call me and I'll have to like step away from what I'm doing at work, and she'll call me and ask me, hey, what is the, he's having these symptoms, what does this mean? And I'll be like, oh, this is what I know about this situation. She's like, okay, well, just be praying for him. And I'm just like, oh, like, how am I supposed to?
Do they not know? Do they know you don't believe, Damien?
They don't. I'm a fairly new atheist. I just kind of came to this realization and this deconstruction. I really only kind of came into this a few months ago. I've been struggling with it for years, but I've been struggling with it for years.
Well, wow, Damien, hi, howdy, welcome. Holy shit! Okay.
No,
you and Forrest have been like my big inspirations in that, and you guys, and your buddy Matt and Seth. They have been like huge inspirations and huge like guiding posts for me in that.
Thank you. That's awesome.
And I just recently got to meet Forrest, and that was fun. But they don't know that I am an atheist, and I don't think that I can really talk to them about that at this point, just because that's going to cause a lot of undue stress that they don't need in their life. I mean,
I don't gain anybody anything at this point. Right now, the focus should be on your grandfather, and I would try as best I could as the medical professional that they seem to be coming to. I would try the best that I could to try to steer them in the direction of coming to terms with his passing, and letting go of this notion that we can save him somehow. If they want to continue to believe that he's going to be in a better place when he dies, you can't do anything about that. But I would try the best I could, if I were in your position, to try to focus their energy and attention on making the most of the time they have left with him. This time is fleeting. This is fleeting, and it's going to get worse. This is the prognosis that medical science gives us. You can pray if you want, or you could even say we can pray all we want. Just kind of generically put that out there so that they may think you're on their team, whatever. But try to focus their attention on what we have left here. Let's focus on Grandpa and how we can make the most of these days. Spend time with him. Talk about his memories. Grandpa, tell us this story about such and such. Get him into remembering the happy times and getting away from the struggle that's the current struggle. And if they want to believe in heaven after that, that's fine. But if you can get moments out of these times, that's the win. That's the win here, in my view.
It is. And Damien, I will tell you this. My grandfather passed a couple of months ago, and
I already hear that.
He was a complicated person.
Unless he sucked, in which case, I mean, good for you, I guess. I don't know I don't know your life, but like,
it's I will tell you, as you've described your family to us, you are in a unique position, and I will say that having gone through death rituals of people in a very religious community, or in all of the friends and family, and the whole, like, all of it was religious. Being the atheist in there and having spoken at funerals before, for people, I have found that having an atheist at a funeral where they can speak too, if this is your grandfather, you're able to speak, this will be the one opportunity that everyone at the funeral will get to actually hear about the person and their personal life and who they were, and not just hear another fucking sermon. Because sermon about just God and God and God. And I, because I will tell you this, that my grandfather was a actually that religious. Really wasn't. Like, really deep down, wasn't that religious. But at his service, all of us, all the grandchildren spoke, and my mother spoke. And when the pastor spoke, it wasn't about my grandfather at all. It was about God and Jesus and going to heaven. And the same thing for when my other grandparents died, when my great grandfather died. Like, it was down to the non-believer to actually focus on the person themselves and who they were and their life experiences, and not just like how they were a service to Jesus this whole time. And let's just talk about Jesus. And you are in a unique position, a difficult, painful, emotionally exhausting position to focus on your grandfather. Can I, and I know, I'm going to ask another question. Is your twin brother, do you have any idea of, because you're brand new into non-believing, is your twin brother a heavy believer?
He's not a heavy believer. I'm not going to say that I'm like brand new into non-believing. I guess I'm just brand new into having a label to put on it. But he's not like a heavy believer. I mean, he's a lot more aloof and just doesn't really care so much about the religiosity. But I don't really know where he is in his journey, so to say.
Yeah. Well, that may become more evident as time goes on, and a lot of times dealing with the death of a loved one kind of forces people to crystallize their ideas about life and death and faith and non-belief and so on. So you just tread carefully around that, and maybe in conversations with your brother, there might be opportunities to hint at things or to ask questions in the right way. You can kind of get him to reveal what he's thinking, or questions he may have as well. I've seen that happen so many times when someone says, well, I've got a question about that. Me too. And then you realize they're doubting as much as you are, or they're unpacking their faith as much as you are. And there are ways to realize that without showing your hand, so to speak.
Damien, I will also tell you that for you to do the service of focusing on your actual grandfather and on the person itself, there will be many, many believers who will appreciate. I mean, I happen to have been to more funerals of anyone my age that I personally know. I don't know how that cookie crumbled. It just did. It's just how it happened. I just happen to know a lot of people who have died. I've been to many, many funerals, and I've spoken at several. I have had more than one person speak to me and to my other family members who have spoken at funerals. I'm like, there was at no point that I got to appreciate the person we were grieving until you actually spoke about the person we were grieving, and it wasn't just another sermon, and I appreciate that. And I will tell you that even religious people will appreciate that.
I believe that.
And I'm not telling you to speak at your grandfather's funeral if you aren't comfortable. Like, if that's not like a labor that you can,
probably
totally
fine.
Fine.
I probably will, and I hope that is further away than, I hope that's later rather than sooner, but I know better.
Yeah.
But
right now,
I think just because I'm really bad at writing speeches, and I'm a procrastinator anyways. I mean, I procrastinate because diamonds are made under pressure.
Glenda will write it for you. Don't worry. She's a pro. But now I think the focus has to be on creating the moments that you can with your grandfather and encouraging your family members. Let's focus on what time we have left with Grandpa, and let's try to find some moments here. And, I think with older people, I've found, as though I'm not one, but get them talking about their stories, get them talking about memory, and get his focus off heaven, get his focus off his disease as much as you can. I think that's the best.
On the days that he's able to talk, because I talk to them on the phone pretty much every day, or at least I talk to my grandmother on the phone pretty much every day. But on the days that he's able to talk, I always try to bring up, hey, you remember that one time we did this, or hey, tell me about that. Tell me again, tell me the story again about that guy from Nam who did that one funny thing, or things like that. And it's always, I try to get him into as good of a mood as possible, because I know how I am whenever I get trapped with my own thoughts. I can't imagine that with him, where he most days he literally cannot get his thoughts out of his head because he can't talk.
Awful.
And so I can't imagine what it's like being trapped inside your head like that. And so every chance I get, I'm always trying to do things that kind of take him back a little bit and try to keep him in as good a mood as possible and try to keep him happy. But like I say, I'm not a expert in that field of particular study. But I talk to his doctors every chance that I get, and that's really what they tell me to do, is try to keep him as happy as they can. Because generally, and from what I can tell, the happier he is, the better off he is physically. Like the better mood he's in, the better off he is physically. And so I do my best to try to do that, but it's really, really tough to try to paint a smile on and while kind of watching everything go down, and it's hard. But
it's hard,
Dave. I look to guys like you, Dave, for like that kind of inspiration, because knowing at least as much as I do of your story, and I don't pretend like I know all of it, but knowing what I know of your story and seeing how you're taking everything in such incredible stride. I said in chat earlier, you're talking about being diminished, and I said you would have to be diminished. You have to be diminished down to half to still be brought down to twice the man I am. But
thank you.
Like, you take it in so much stride, and I'm fascinated by it. But seeing that is a huge inspiration.
I have my moments.
A huge help.
I have my moments. I'm not always on top, but I do believe that a positive attitude and keeping yourself free from thinking negative thoughts and getting depressed and anxious, that just doesn't serve you well. And it's just not, when you're faced with something you have no control over and there's nothing you can do about it but figure out how to make the most of it. That's what we have to do. And so, and in that respect, that's what you're doing, Damien. I can tell you're a very devoted and loving grandson, and I applaud that for you, because it's hard to watch someone you love disintegrate in front of you. I know that's just tearing you up, but the way that you're handling it and the positivity with which you're approaching it, and you seem to be, you've got the added burden of dealing with these religious folks in your family who make it more difficult because they're not embracing reality, and they're living with fantasies and fairy tales. And you are the voice of reason, and you're the voice of sound thinking, and that's tough to carry that alone. So I applaud you for how you're handling it, Damon. You're a good grandson. I want you to know that.
And Damien, we have at Recovering, if you head over to recoveringfromreligion.org, we have a resources tab, and it is a constant, ever-growing list of resources. And we specifically have one for grief. We have one for death and dying. And I think that there's a section about secular death rituals, if you wanted to just see how other folks have kind of handled this. But you are far, far from alone in going through this journey and process. And I'm really proud of you. And that is an incredible journey to make. And I'm really glad you called in today.
We appreciate your call and your support of the show and the channel. We really appreciate you being there. Good to hear from you.
Thank you guys so much. And Glenda, loving the nails. Those are absolutely gorgeous.
I do them myself.
You're rocking it, girl.
Show off.
I had a satanic themed party this last weekend, so.
Oh my goodness, you witch, you.
I know, it was very witchy. Lots of like black and red.
Thank you, Damien. Good to hear from you, bro.
Thank you guys so much. Y'all have a wonderful night.
All right, bye-bye.
You too, Damien.
Bye.
God damn, that's hard. That's hard. It's hard to be in that position. It's such a struggle, and
he's handling it well.
Isolated alone.
As a brand new unbeliever, he's just in the thick of it, man.
Baby, it's not. I don't mean to infantilize, but it's amazing to me as somebody who's been. I mean, how many years has it been? I'm 34, and became an atheist at 19. It's been a minute. And it's like, oh, it was just in the past year.
Yeah. Oh God, he's child. Okay, Jamie, let's go to some super chats.
Yay, super chat.
I will start. My good buddy Greg Markowski got my COVID vax this weekend. So if we're all dying in 2 years after we get it, if each time we get it, does it extend the deadline by 2 years? How's that work? Well,
oh my God.
I think we got to do some math here. I've had 4 vaccinations, I think.
Yeah, I've had 4.
Probably needing one more. I think I've extended it. We're dying in 2 years. So I should be 4 times dead by now.
Those goalposts don't just have wheels under them. It's got motors under them. That thing just moves on its own, just across that field, the QAnon field, forever and all eternity.
Right.
We're all just
questions for which there are now. But thank you for your support, Greg. I'll see you this weekend.
Oh my God, for real.
Greg's
Actually,
one of our
want to get all this.
on the IamDyingOutLoud.org, our nonprofit. He's coming this weekend. We're having a workshop retreat. So all good stuff.
All right. Do we go back and forth with this, Dave?
Yeah.
My turn then. Okay. From Whiskey Spirit Guide. Dave, you really helped me to no end dealing with the decay and morality of a very close family member, even though they are hardcore Christian. You really save my mental health daily. Thank you. And that is the caller that we just had. And thank you so much.
Thank you, Damien.
That's so hard. Thank you, Damien. That is, I highly encourage you to seek out some support groups because you should not be making this journey alone.
13 alleged Canadian dollars from D. Hey, D, my friend D. Why $13.99? Why not? That's a good answer. I love the line and all that you all do. I've been spending every spare minute with you all day today. Thank you for all your shows. Faithful supporter, faithful good friend. Thank you, D, for those 13.99 alleged Canadian dollars.
For those who don't know, Dee is the co-host of the Stacy's Mom podcast, and everyone should check that podcast out. It is the first that I know of mother-daughter deconstruction podcast duo.
Check it out. It's good stuff. They have great guests.
Wait. Apostacy's mama?
Yeah, they do a podcast together.
Yeah, that's Dee.
We love apostasy. Okay.
Yeah.
We do. Great. And I love Dee. And when I say I love Dee, I'm just saying I'm going to be Stacy's stepdad one day. Anyway.
This is yours. Glenda,
sorry. Sorry.
Stay with us, Glenda. Stay with us.
Oh, look, a tiger. One of the things that we get to pet when we go to heaven. Okay. Yes. $10 from Jungle. Thank you so much. Thank you all for everything that you do. It's very much needed in this world and appreciated. Dave, you're a fucking rock star from one North Carolina to another.
Thank you, Jungle. From North Carolina.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate that.
We appreciate your support. Thank you for speaking up like that. $10 from My Balls Itch. My Balls Itch. Just wanted, we'll get some talcum powder for that maybe. Just wanted to throw some money y'all's way to show support and keep this show on the air. Thank you. Good stuff and great discussions. Thank you so much. We appreciate that. We did have some good discussions tonight.
I like that we have people called My Balls Itch in our audience.
It's important.
Yeah. Whoever the show has that, right? Come on.
I skimmed a complaint email earlier and somebody was bitching about me telling a story that or making a joke yesterday that referenced my pubes. So I just want to take this moment in case they're watching to say, pubes, go fuck yourself.
Go fuck yourself.
Whew. Oh my God. She even knew. Look at this. $5 from Found a Marble. Hi, Glenda. Can we see your cat? She just decided right before this chat was here. This is my senior cat. My old queen. Miss Whiskers, MS. Her marital status is not important. It's MS Whiskers, Miss Whiskers. She was dumped in a park where I rescued her in college, and
Those are
she
Euro
recently
dollars. We've named them. They're
cost
not
me.
Euro dollars.
She recently cost me almost $1,000 in vet bills to learn, after all of the barrage of tests, that she might just be constipated. So thank you very much, Miss Whiskers, for round of laxatives.
We've had that issue with our dog. We've been multiple vets, multiple doctor visits, multiple monies spent, and it may just be allergies. I mean, we're giving him her Benadryl, and it seems to be helping. But come on, seriously, just allergies?
Know, right? Really? Thanks. Thank you very much. Thank you.
The things we do for
maxed out an entire credit card for this one.
Oh God!
But my dog has tummy issues today.
Your dog has tummy issues
today. Yeah, he mostly diarrhea, but he just like it's his own fault. He's just like, oh, bugs are fun to eat, shit like that.
Oh, ours goes out and eats grass like a cow, and then comes in and upchucks it all.
Dude, sometimes, yeah. So he did that today because he doesn't feel well. But so I've only let him in the backyard, and he goes back there and he threw up something. But he threw up like the leaves of a bush or a tree. But there is no bush or tree back there. I don't know where he got these leaves from, because it's impossible. They'll
eat anything. They'll eat anything.
He's eating grass and turning it into leaves somehow.
Somehow some leaves blew on your grass. I've solved that mystery.
The magic fucking dog. No, these were like fresh leaves too. They weren't crunchy. And it's Texas, man. They'd be crunchy if they were blown leaves.
$5 from Robin Webster. Hey, Robin. Hey, Dave and Glenda. Enjoy the RFRX last night. Thank you. I saw you in there. Forced me to choose between you and Forrest and Ben. Ooh, look who she chose. Said I won't be at the excursion.
Forrest too.
And go fuck yourself, Jimmy. There's some love your way, Jim.
Robin, thank you. I'm sad you aren't going to be there too. Dave and I are both going to be speaking, which is wild to say that I'll be speaking alongside someone as prolific as Dave.
I'd like to hear you talk.
I'm nervous. I'm excited. I'm nervous.
I also won't be there. Sorry.
Fuck you, Jimmy.
Jimmy, you weren't invited, so there.
That's why I'm not going to be there.
As if we wouldn't make room for you. $4.99 from John Doan. Don't know how to pronounce it. So sorry. Hello, heathens. If someone says that about the lions, I'm going to scream, lions! What the fuck are they? And then run away or ride away from them as fast as possible.
That's a pretty good response. I like that, John. Thank you, John. Appreciate your.
That's great. That's a pretty solid one. I think if I ever had that opportunity, I'd probably do the same.
$4.99 from Vanessa Beasley. Love to you, Dave and Glenda. Thank you both for all you do. Happy face those, Glenda. I love those earrings. Where are they from? Tell us, Glenda.
So glad you asked, Vanessa Beasley. I made these.
Oh, stop it.
I am a hardcore Legend of Zelda nerd. And if you play Tears of the Kingdom, these are the earrings that the steward constructs have. These little, you think of little robot creatures. And I made them I sculpted them out of clay, and then I painted them, and I made them.
You can't do, Glenda. Those of you that don't know, Glenda painted this wonderful painting of me and my octopus friend and gave it to me at the American Atheist Conference and just melted me into a puddle of tears. And
I was crying too.
It was beautiful, and you're beautiful, and you're so talented. Thank you, Vanessa Beasley. We appreciate your support.
I love you, Dave. You're not allowed to talk about my physical appearance. It's against the rules.
What did I do? Oh, you're beautiful. I meant beautiful.
Call me beautiful. You're not allowed to say anything about that.
You're a beautiful person is what I meant, Glenda.
We do in the live chat. I will say I was seeing it on the mods. Y'all, if somebody's fully objectifying the host, that's what not to do. But I feel like earlier someone was like, oh my God, I love your nails and your earrings. And one of those got taken down. Those are fine. Just mods, just so you know, that's fine. Like, it's all good.
Obviously, you're physically repulsive. I'm not saying you're physically beautiful. I'm saying you're a beautiful person.
No, I'm vile and disgusting and evil.
Glenda's already a very pretty person, but I want to make sure everyone understands that next to Dave, she looks much prettier. Dave's so hideous that, like, honestly, I love doing shows with Dave because I go up 3 points.
You look great next. Everybody looks great next to me. I'm an old, disintegrated fossil.
Dave's my favorite yes and insult friend. Also, I'm just going to mention this because everyone should know this. This is the last week to see the Nishimura comet. If you're willing to get up in the pre-dawn hours, it won't be back for 400 years. And this is also one of the best weeks to see it. But literally, like, after this week, it'll be too close to the sun and then you'll never see it again. So if you all want to see a pretty historic comet that you can actually see with the naked eye, this is your last, like, do it tonight.
Okay.
Thankfully, I live really close to the Dark Sky Heritage Site, which is Death Valley National Park. And we go out there to watch meteor showers all the time.
I think you probably can't get it in a big city, but I think it's visible even with, like, if you can see Orion's belt, if you have that level of darkness, then you can probably see it.
Oh yeah, that's not even, you could deal with some pretty heavy light pollution and still get that.
Yeah.
Okay, I think this is now me. $10 from Shayla Coleman. Tried to call, but oh well, love all the convo. Do y'all get depressed and how do you deal with it? Boy, do I! No. Shayla, thank you so much for the donation. It really helps support the line. I would not say I deal with depression. I deal with anxiety and I deal with existential despair. But depression as a mental health issue is, I wouldn't say that I deal with, like, I have no suicidal ideation or anything like that. But I do have many loved ones who deal with depression, and I have many loved ones who have lost a battle to depression. If not everyone has the resources, I have no idea what your finances are, or if you have access to health insurance, that kind of thing. Please head over to the Secular Therapy Project. It is an independent project that RFR partnerships with, that is we help find secular vetted, very highly vetted secular therapists. They're all around the world. Some do virtual appointments that we have vetted, that they are confirmed they are never going to proselytize to you. So you're not going to get 2, 3, 8 sessions into a therapy appointment speaking about your depression and then get told that you just need to pray to God or do some crystal healing or whatever it is. So Secular Therapy Project, I highly encourage you to go check that out. There's also support groups and online groups that can help deal with this. That's a really tough thing to deal with.
I hope you are getting to talk with someone that's qualified to help you through that, because that's tough. I'll echo what Glenda said. I don't personally deal with depression. I wouldn't say that I did just because I have a sad day or something, because that minimizes those who really struggle with depression or something of that sort. So I'm not going to say, yeah, I get depressed, man. No, I don't. I'm usually pretty positive and high energy, but I do have my moments where I get thinking about, I'm gonna fucking die of ALS, and that's not good.
The sad.
Those are moments that aren't fun. But I do recognize depression as a very real health issue that many people struggle with, and it sounds like you are struggling with that. And I do hope that you are able to talk with somebody that can help you. Echo what Glenda said. She's a walking advertisement for RFR and all that, but it's true. There's help there. If you don't have the resources, talk to someone who can help you with that. Just reach out to us and let us know. I'm sorry you couldn't get through on the call. Maybe try next week or one of the other shows, but we'd love to talk with you more about that. And if there's anything we can do, send us an email. My email is always available for folks, daveoutloud@gmail.com. I'll make sure you get connected to any way you can. But that's, I hope you're getting the help you need, and we appreciate you reaching out about that. And, just stay strong, hang in there, and let us know how we can help.
Shella, if you can't make your own serotonin, store-bought is fine. That's just like we believe in the power of pharmaceuticals here, and don't let anyone tell you that like medication and intervention for mental health isn't the right way to go. It can very much be the right way to go.
It's just tricky because I'm medicated for depression and deal with it, and it's just a tricky situation because the first like 4 we tried were not good. Yeah, so it's a process to go through, and it's intimidating.
It is a process. That's the other thing. It's such a process.
Yeah, keep working till you find what works. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it takes work.
The right answer to this is to listen to Jordan Peterson and clean your room. And then you won't be depressed anymore. Clean your room.
Magic. Yeah. And do some yoga at sunrise. And then it just gets vaporized from your body.
Just clean your room and don't be trans and you'll be good.
Yeah. Good. All right.
Yeah, you'll be fine.
You'll be fine.
What is good?
$5 from Elliot Webb. Love you, Dave. You're an inspiration. Glenda, you're awesome. Go fuck yourself, Jimmy. Man, he threw love at all 3 of us. Thank you, Elliot.
Thank you, Elliot. $5. Another from Whiskey Spirit Guide. We love you, Damien. Forget to end the call correctly. Go, Jimmy, yourself twice. Jimmy.
There you go.
Yourself twice. I'm assuming means go fuck yourself twice, Jimmy.
No, well, there's a new meme because somebody slipped up once and said GJY instead of GFY, and then now there's go Jimmy yourself, and it's a whole fun thing. Just like the new meme that I almost interrupted when you said $5 or Canadian dollars, and I almost interrupted and went, or dollars euro.
Dollars euro, that's a new thing that I made. I made it up right here. You heard it first on this show.
Constantly having to look.
$27.99 alleged Canadian dollars from Matthew Phillips. I believe in transcendent. I said it wrong. Naturalism twice. We are all part of a super organism. I almost said super orgasm. Interacting with people leaves a little bit of your essential nature with them. So how we act is a continuation of those in our lives that we leave behind. Okay.
That's going to be transcendent for the record.
Thank you. I was struggling with that word. Words are hard.
Yeah.
I have all the best words, but they're hard. Words are hard.
It's okay. Our expectations of you are low.
I appreciate that, Jimmy.
Matthew, that's a very that can be considered a very atheo-pagan belief. And there was a really beautiful post about like, I make my ramen the same way my college roommate did. I listened to a song that a friend from high school made a playlist that was in a playlist of you are an amalgamation of all the people that have touched your lives. And it's a really beautiful thing. And it's not necessarily supernatural belief. It's just that you're an amalgamation of all the relationships you've ever had. Okay. It's my turn. $5 from One Self Da Vinci. Hey, love y'all. How likely is it that Josh Allen's performance last night was God punishing me for being an atheist?
I'll take this one. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
It's sports ball, Glenda. So the Buffalo Bills
I don't do sports ball, sorry.
The Buffalo Bills got surprisingly upset last night by the New York Jets without Aaron Rodgers, who went down on the 4th play with an Achilles tear. And Josh Allen was just horrible. 3 interceptions, 1 fumble. I do sports ball, obviously. And clearly...
Isn't Aaron Rodgers kind of a dipshit?
Yeah, he is kind of a dick. Now he's a dick with a torn Achilles tendon, so nonetheless.
I feel like I recall him doing, wasn't it some anti-vax shit? Was that his problem?
Yeah, he's got a lot of weird ideas. But Da Vinci, clearly you are getting punished as a Bills fan, apparently, unless Josh was on your fantasy football team, which if so, that's a double whammy. But yeah, God's punishing you clearly for being an atheist because God's all about the sports ball. Every athlete says, I want to thank God first. You know how that goes.
Couldn't solve world hunger, but I'm sure going to make you score the football sports thing.
That typewriter. If someone came up to me and said, I'll get to pet lions in heaven, all I would be able to think is, tell me about the rabbits, George. I don't think I know what that means, but that's a pretty funny response. I hope someone tells me that one day when I'm in a wheelchair. I was going to say at Walmart, but I hate Walmart, so maybe Target or
Wally World.
Costco or something, and they come up and tell me I'm going to pet lions, I'm probably going to have Bevan turn on the phone. So let's record this interaction because it's going to
No,
be
I
fun.
would. You gotta have your phone like pew,
It's going to be
pew, ready.
fun. Thank you, Monkey.
Thank you, Monkey.
I don't know why, but now I just want to know what Dave's favorite thing from Costco is.
I don't have a favorite thing at Costco. Why would anyone have a favorite thing at Costco?
I like a
I
big
love when they
girthy hot
have-
dog.
When they
Oh,
Costco
Got those.
sells a
Polish
brand of
sausage.
pickles that I like. Sorry.
You're talking about
It's a
okay.
No, the hot dog. It's not a Polish sausage. Just the regular hot dogs at the. You go up to the
They're-
food court, $1.50.
Yeah, they're pretty good. They're pretty good. They're cheap. Yeah, $1.50. Where can you get value like that anymore, right?
With a drink too, and yeah, they're big.
Yeah. I'm going over there tomorrow. I'm so hungry for a hot dog now from Costco. Glenda, this is yours.
$10 from Dylan Fuller. People don't realize not all disabilities are visible, so many people get harassed because they don't look disabled parking in those spots. Most wheelchair users are ambulatory. Disability doesn't have one look. Dylan, I worked you're totally right. Thank you for the show. $10. I was modeling at a gig. It was at a pool club, which if you don't know, like Vegas pool clubs are just like absolutely insane. That's where I was doing the gig. And atmosphere modeling, which is where they pay a bunch of women to come in there because otherwise it's just a boring old sausage fest of douchebags. So they have to pay hot women to create a scene that's what it's like all the time. Anyway, I'm there. And there was this dude in a wheelchair. And this other frat boy douchebag came up to me and was like, "So, do you think that guy's like actually needs a wheelchair?"
God.
And I heard it, I was like, and I gave my whole little lecture about it might be something where they can walk a few steps before needing to use the wheelchair, or you could walk, but the doctor says you need to stay off your feet, or
Right.
blah, 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 blah. And he stopped because I did that whole speech over the blasting EDM music. And he looks at me and he goes, "You're being like really nice." I was like,
He didn't deserve that, did he?
no, he
deserve
didn't. First of all, you don't deserve to even breathe my oxygen, but that's a completely different argument altogether.
I love it.
I don't think Vegas has any oxygen anymore.
What's that?
Not much.
It's pretty much all fumes.
Thank you, Dylan. $5 from Robin Webster. Dave, I called in, but Jimmy hung up on me. So rude. In Nashville, my daughter is at cigarettes after sex concert, hanging out at a store.
What?
Her daughter's at a Cigarettes After Sex concert. That's a band. It's good music.
Okay, I'm not hip with the kids. I don't know that band.
Cigarettes
Sorry.
After Sex. Let me just say it's good music to play to. I'll leave it at that. Put that on and it'll set the mood. Cigarettes After
I have
Sex.
many of those playlists. And I will write this down because it's relevant to my life. Okay.
Thank you, Robin. Sorry you didn't get to. I saw you in the queue and then you went away. So maybe
I
next
just want
time.
to say in my defense.
Oh, Jimmy's going to defend himself. Go
In
ahead,
my
Jimmy.
defense, Robin, we love you. Keep sending super chats. That's, you're buying my love. But you called in without a topic. And we don't just let people call to chat, to hang out. And so while we didn't have a lot of calls today, I don't want to encourage people in the same way that I don't allow people to just call and monologue and basically go like, "Oh, I'll borrow your platform." Just calling to be like, "Bro, what kind of football do you like? And what do you like from Costco?" There's already an idiot here to ask those kinds of questions. So that's why I hung up that call.
Follow up with the topic, and then we'll chat, Robin.
Yeah, you just gotta be on topic.
Yeah. But thanks for your support. Always appreciate you.
And I wrote it down. Oh, was those the super chats?
Well, thank you, Glenda. You were wonderful.
Thank you, Dave. Dave, I suppose I should tell you the thing that I didn't tell you last night of why I was extra emotional while you were talking, and the whole live each day as if it was your last, and why this was so poignantly relevant to me. And this is going to get a little TMI, but I don't fucking care. I mentioned it a little because someone complimented my nails, and I did, in fact, do these for we had a satanic themed polycule play party on Saturday, and I'm in the kink community, so that is involved with that. And we had a wonderful, very beloved member who was with us all night and mentioned that it was the greatest night of his life, and he had the most fun he's ever had, and it was the most wonderful time. And he went home and suffered a massive stroke and died within like an hour of leaving the party. Now, he had lots of chronic health issues. This was not like so unsudden that none of us expected it. You know, he was already, used a cane and had some other things, but it was the dichotomy of life and both the good and bad. And we were all in our poly community very much laughing and crying at the same time. If I had one life left, if I had one night left on this planet, what would I want to do? I don't know. A hedonistic romp with all of my best friends sounds like a good way to go.
No, that's the thing. Yeah. You rather go out that way, or there's some illness that disintegrates you gradually over time and you just waste away. We're all going to die. We all have an expiration date. We don't know what it is. My deal is that I've got more of an inside info on what mine might most likely look like. But that said, how we go and when we go is out of our control for the most part. And that's why it's so fucking important to make the most of the moments we have, period.
Right. And that was truly, I mean, he was truly like living every day as if it's your last and taking advantage of your life and having the most fun. And that was the example. Can you ask?
That's it. That's what this show's about. Dying Out Loud is about living out loud. But that would be LOL, so that'd be too funny. So we can't really do that. $15 from Rob Irwin. Oh man, you can buy people's love on the line? Woo, yes you can, and we are cheap. We are a cheap date. For just $5, you can have us. That's my jam. Thank you, Rob. We appreciate you, man.
I'm a little more expensive.
You should have a roast before your death, I feel.
I think
my God.
We've toyed with that idea because I can't. I have such a massive ego. I want my memorial service to be done while I'm still here so I can hear all the things everybody says about me.
But the roast is even better then.
I know, right?
You're allowed to have roasts while you're alive. Plus, I've
been toying with that idea of a big jam, probably in Nashville in the next year or two, and make it a roast and just have a big celebration, make it a fundraiser kind of thing, and celebrate life and roast Dave. And
if it's a fundraiser open to the public, you'll need to have a second roast after that I can tell my actual jokes at.
Okay, a private roast, VIP roast, a VIP roast. Ooh, there you go.
The cancel-free roast. You can't get canceled for anything you say at the roast.
You can only come if you promise not to cry, Glenda. So I don't know. What do you?
Listen, I will come if we promise to have the satanic themed orgy afterwards.
You know what? I'm down.
I guarantee you, I'll cry at the orgy.
Let's do this.
There's no crying at the orgy, and there's no trauma bonding at the bar.
I don't drink, so that's fine.
Well, thanks everybody for tuning in tonight. For those of you that called in, everybody that helped with the call screeners and the mods in the chat, and Jimmy, thank you as always for producing. You're pretty good at that. Go fuck yourself though, Jimmy.
Yeah, go.
And Glenda, awesome to have you. See you in next week.
I was so underqualified for this. I don't know why the hell you asked me.
And we close out with our patron supporters. Patreon.com/call the line.